For season 1, how many scripts did you have done before filming began? How was it on season 2 and 3? How much were you, figuring out one-liners, if you will, for each episode? Or, talk a little bit about how you figured out the season.
Well, I think, for the first season, it was interesting because I wrote the pilot, and there was it was so closely tuned to what Thomas Harris had written, and there was so much from the books that was going into it. And then we had written, I think we had 4 or 5 scripts, and then I saw the pilot, and I saw the work that Hugh and Mads were doing, and I saw the work that David Slade was doing, and I looked at those 4 or 5 scripts that we had written, and I said that they weren't good enough, and I threw them out, and then we started over. But we started over in a sense that was, I think we shut down for 2 weeks between the pilot and the rest of the show. So after seeing the pilot and going like this is actually really good, and this cast is phenomenal, and they deserve better material, because the 4 or 5 scripts that we had done were very procedural, were very and very sort of strange. Like one of the episodes was about a mass shooting in a McDonald's, and we were trying to make this commentary on fast food culture and gun culture. And now looking back on that, I'm like, what the fuck were we thinking? Because there's no way to skin that and not be offensive to somebody. Not that I care about offending people, but it just was sort of inelegant and cheap and not necessarily elevating the genre. And I think, I feel a deep responsibility to try to elevate the genre of whatever I'm doing. So we tossed all those scripts out, and then it was a scramble for the rest of the season. And it was really hard on Mads because English is his second language. And a lot of the shit that Hannibal is saying are words that I have to look up to go like, is that right? Like, is that a word? And so it was really difficult for him. But we kind of the first season was insane, and it was very depressing, and it felt very much like I was in Will Graham's head a little too far. And I remember there was one time when Hugh and Claire and I were walking around a park, and it was just nice to be with people who weren't expecting something from me that I knew I couldn't give them. And to just have general support and go like, oh, like these, like I said, like when Hugh and I had our first dinner, I was like, oh, this is going to be my friend. Like, this isn't just a working relationship. This is somebody whose company that I adore. So like those moments kind of got me through the complexities and the real hardships of season 1. And then after surviving something, you go like, oh, I can survive. But season 2, we got a late pickup. And so our first day in the writer's room, without anything being sort of written or anything, we were in production 6 weeks later. And so there was no catching up. And season 2, I don't know, Hugh, if you think season 2 was worse than season 1 in terms of script delivery. It's hard to say. They're so.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of really skinning something. Right? It was tough all along, and yeah, that's all I know. I mean, in that respect. But, I worked after Hannibal. I worked on a show, and the first season we had all six episodes they'd written of 10. I think we did up front. They just had that much time, and they had scripted those 6 episodes, and it was great. I mean, it was completely wild. It was almost like a hallucination for me. And it afforded me the opportunity to, I guess, sit with it for longer, obviously. But truthfully, in the kind of chaos that we experienced and that Bryan was kind of in the front line of, in retrospect, it didn't kind of compromise for me the kind of ability to, I don't know, to kind of submerge ourselves in it. And I honestly don't know why that should be, except for the fact that, as I said before, and as it's obvious from what Bryan's saying, like he he and we all felt that responsibility, right? Not even to anybody else, just to ourselves, right? Who wants to do
as artists?
That's right.